brilliant to build up to the Senior Cup final. You'll be able to watch that chat on the Facebook page with AD Howarth, who stuck around ahead of the game, of course, between Clarbeston Road and Goodwick at the Oggy Bridge Meadow Stadium on Saturday. But let's just finish off our roundup of some of the local football stories from the past week. Last week on the show, we were talking about the West Wales Cup semi-final. Merlins Bridge were taking on Llangyfelach from the Swansea Premier League. Llangyfelach had a crazy run of games coming up as well. It was something like 15 or 16 games in the space of a month. They actually beat Merlins Bridge 3-0. Gordon, you were telling us off air that there was a bit of a story behind that as well, wasn't there?
There was. The Bridge picked their 11, and Gary Thomas was warming up, and he apparently went to flick the ball off the top of the net while warming up, and he fell awkwardly, and I believe it was his ankle, so they had to change him. And Dan Devine came in, who was originally, yes, he was on the bench, but he was their first aider, so he had to go in goal. He is a goalkeeper, mind, so we get that right. The Bridge started quite brightly. They had a couple of chances, and unfortunately, they didn't take them. And you know what happens if you don't take your chances? The other side will, and they did. And they went 1-0 in at half-time. They scored 6 minutes after the break, went 2-0 up, and the Bridge were always chasing the game then, unfortunately. And they got a third one in the 97th minute, something like that. So it was a sad ending to the Bridge, but fair play. They did well to get to the semi-final, and they deserve full credit for that.
And we wondered...
It'd be a Goodwick Merlins Bridge final at Swansea.com stadium, but it wasn't to be. But both our Pembrokeshire sides did well to get to that stage.
We wondered, didn't we? I don't think we've had an all Pembrokeshire, in fact, any Pembrokeshire side in the final since we've been doing this show, actually.
Haken last season.
Oh, Haken last season. Okay.
Season, I don't know where you were, man.
No, I must have missed that one. Oh, once. So we all make the odd mistake, Gord. Yeah. No, we haven't had a great run though. We've speculated on it every year, haven't we? And we thought it might happen this time around. So how disappointing was that phrase?
Oh, I think it is disappointing, Ben. I don't think the West Wales competition, we've spoken about this before, is the holy grail it was for Pembrokeshire sides. I'm not just talking about Merlins Bridge and Goodwick now, because obviously they did get to the semi-final fall at that hurdle. I think, there isn't much now between our leagues, and certainly not this new West Wales Premier League. I think it's called the Swansea. The intimidation factor and going away to those places seems to have gone. And when you look at the run we've had in the last decade, of course, Goodwick winning it in 2016 and in 2018. There was Johnston in 2013. 2019, we had all Pembrokeshire final, both of AD's boys went for Merlins Bridge when they beat Carew. 2020, Goodwick were in a semi-final, odds on to get there. COVID hit, that was the end of that. And like you say, Haken in the final last year. So, I'm disappointed. I'm not just talking about Bridge and Goodwick here, that we haven't got a Pembrokeshire representative in this final. I think, we're as strong as anyone in this competition now.
Was that competition, AD? Did you ever win that? You were decorated in the Senior Cup.
Yeah, I won the West Wales Cup once. I played in 3 finals, all for Haken, and I won it once. And the other 2 finals, I actually, in both of them, played absolute rubbish. Really, really bad.
The Vetch in those days,
it was on the Vetch.
The real football ground.
Really, it was awful. The pitch was just sand. Obviously, it was the end of season because they sanded it. They did finish.
It actually looks better now. He's an allotment.
Yeah. When I see my boys now, they're obviously playing in their really beautiful stadium.
Yeah, I'm really jealous.
I am jealous.
I grew up watching football in that stadium, and I can tell you it didn't need to be end of seaon for that pitch to be a stake. I can tell you that for nothing.
I thought I was in Mumbles. I
was actually going to say, I don't think I ever saw the Vetch look like it had much grass on it, ever, really, did it? It was always quite a sandy surface, tricky one, wasn't it? Okay, so, unlucky to Merlins Bridge there, losing 3-0 in that. Monkton Swifts seconds and Johnston Fraser have made it through to the Second Division Cup final.
Yeah, Monkton seconds, odds on for a double now, has to be said. I was actually quite surprised that Branston, who were odds on for promotion, if you call that, with this top 4 format we've spoken to before. Looks like Tish will be joining them. I thought Branston would get past Johnston, but Johnston back in the final again. They won that competition a few years ago, but Monkton will be favourites to do that Division 2 double now, but of course they can't be promoted. In Division 3, I'll give my old boys a shout out as well on Friday, May the 3rd. Solvo will be against Goodwick seconds, actually in another final. So bit of needle there, few ex-players on each side playing for the other, so that'll be an interesting Friday night as well.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I do like this point in the season where the cup finals across all the divisions are coming around. It does make it an exciting finish. Yeah.
Courtesy of Tony Pennick, the draws have been done for the home teams
Yeah,
in the final. That's right.
Yeah.
I think is it Goodwick with the home side or Clarby on Saturday?
Sure.
But they have all been done.
I'm pretty sure it was Clarby.
Clarby will get the luxurious room with the heated seats.
Okay, excellent. And actually, that leads us on just to mention the end of the season for Haverfordwest yesterday. Unfortunately, there'll be no repeat of last year. They slipped to a 1-0 defeat, narrow defeat at Penybont. But Gordon, there'll be a bit of frustration, I think, that they just missed out on the final day from those European playoffs. Do you think?
Yeah, obviously they wanted to get into the playoffs. That was pretty certain. But what they will be disappointed at is that they didn't make the top 6. The original
in the first place.
I think having had that European campaign at the beginning of the season where boys didn't have a lot of time off and it was straight into pre-season training and playing in the 2 European qualifiers, it was a great run. It was great to watch, but unfortunately they had to play in the Welsh Premier at the beginning of August, and they didn't get off to the best of starts. So it's hard. They're not professional. That's the other issue. You've got sides in that league that are professional. Your TNS and your Connors Key. I mean, it's their job. Whereas Haverfordwest County, the boys are working all week and they got to travel and they got to train. So I'm not making excuses for them. It is difficult for anybody.
It's been a long season. Yeah,
it has been a long season. I think they'd be looking forward to the break, and hopefully Tony Pennick will regroup. Make a few more signings. It's inevitable that's going to happen because it always changes. And they'll hopefully be fresh and ready to go at the start of the season. And the only goal for them must be to get in that top 6 by the Christmas split. I would get rid of the split, but that's another argument.
Yeah, I don't disagree, actually. 2 other things I'd say, Fraser, as well. The under-19s were crowned Cymru Premier Development League South champions. And I think I saw Harry John, who's only young. I think he made his 50th appearance for the club over the weekend. And I think those are 2 really good stats, actually, because he's a young player who's come through. And also there's some more in that under-19 side who could be quite good in the future.
Yeah, and those academy players have been utilised by the club. And look, if you're going to be a sustainable Welsh Premier League club, which Haverfordwest are now, if they've got ambitions about pushing higher, then you do need that. You do need a solid academy structure underneath you. So, yeah, the under-19s winning that is a very positive development. Gordon's right. I haven't got much more to add there. They weren't consistent enough to merit a top 6 finish or even a European playoff place in the end. I think they'd accept that. It was actually the Penybont 6 points deducted, actually, which brought them back into the race later on. Otherwise, it'd been over by yesterday. But yeah, there has been, I think, mitigating factors this season. But they are a solid Welsh Premier League outfit now. They haven't been that in the past decade before Rob Edwards came in. They were maybe a yo-yo side for a few years between Division 1 and that. So, you know, there's a solid platform, especially with what you've just touched on with the under-19s there to go forward, even though there has, of course, been a touch disappointing this season. Okay, and we should mention as well, there's a charity game on Wednesday night. Haverfordwest Legends are playing a Valero 11. That's a charity game, 7:45 kickoff at the Bridge Meadow. Big friend of this show, Wayne Jones, former Haverfordwest manager. He'll be taking charge of the Legends. Rob Edwards will be his assistant. And there's a whole host of names playing for Haverfordwest. So people like Darren Brace in the squad, Nicky Woodrow. Mickey Ellis is listed as well. Are you tempted to get your boots on, Gord?
I've never played for Haverfordwest County, so I wouldn't know that.
I mean, still a legend.
Under 19s 20 years ago. So I was, when I saw that Legends were being recalled, I did keep my phone on, but it hasn't gone off.
Oh, Tom's well in at the Bridge Meadow. He might get you a call up phrase. Take your boots down on Wednesday. I'd love to see you in. So if you can go along and support that, 7:45.
One against Mickey Ellis. I'm not so sure about the rest of it.
I wouldn't bet on that.
I was going to say
the same age.
Maybe in a sprint. Maybe in a sprint without the ball.
Yeah. Chris O'Sullivan's involved as well. I think Nicky Palmer, Lee Hudgell. There's a whole host of them playing on Wednesday night. So that should be quite a good one, and good to see Wayne Jones back as well. All right, we will leave the football there. Comprehensive coverage of what's been going on across Pembrokeshire on the show this evening. You better watch those videos on the Facebook page again. We'll change the shape of the ball in a few moments. We'll talk rugby. We'll also talk about the tour of Pembrokeshire to come this weekend. And if you did the marathon at the weekend, we'll do some mentions as well. Adi, once again, thank you. You are welcome on this show anytime. Great to have you in. And we'll be back for the final part of tonight's Pure West Sport in just a few moments.
If you're looking for some high-flying